Hi, everyone. Today we're going to start reading Sitting Pretty, The View from My Ordinary, Resilient, Disabled Body. This book is by Rebekah Taussig, and she has a Instagram account called Sitting Pretty, and she writes memoirs about her life as a disabled person. We're going to read the preface today. It's about 16 pages long. So bear with me, but it's a really great book. And I'm going to share with you as many passages as is appropriate as part of high school and learning about identity and where our bodies fit into that. Here we go. Here's the preface. Before we talk about anything else, can we just start with awe? I am completely in awe of this moment we're having right now, you and me. When I was younger, disability didn't seem to exist outside my visits to the hospital and seating clinics for repairs on my wheelchair. For the most part, I felt really, really weird and not in a cool MTV's Daria sort of way. I'd never considered disability an identity worth understanding, let alone celebrating, and I was pretty sure I was the only one who experienced the world from this seat on the margins. But here we are with this little book between us, and my mind is blown because either one, you too were on the outside and you're here for stories that give language to that experience, or two, you weren't on the outside, but you want to understand what that feels like. And really, either way, the fact that you're here at all changes everything. Because this right here, you and me, looking at these stories together, this is one of the most beautiful parts of being a human, the drive to connect and understand, heal, and blossom. This is the kernel that takes my breath away, the piece I want to hold on to. But first, you should know that you're what you're getting into. Who who is this person whose voice you're choosing to listen to for the next however many precious minutes of your life? And why did she write these pages? Very good questions. You might know me from my Instagram account at Sitting Pretty. Although social media seems to find ways to destroy us on the daily, it does offer us at least one tremendous gift: the power to share a story without going through the gatekeepers who've historically said, pass, we don't tell those kind of stories. Who would listen? Almost 5 years ago, I started an Instagram account where I share mini memoirs narrating life in a body that's rarely represented, let alone represented with nuance. I've been writing essays, sending them out whenever I could bear the vulnerability of it, and hoping my editor would happen to care about this perspective when my roommate, Bertie, told me to take them to the interwebs. Would anyone care? Maybe not, but I didn't have anything to lose. I brainstormed cheesy handles on an actual napkin that came with my cup of coffee. I played with the words like wheelchair and cripple and disabled until I landed on the feminine, the playful, the subtly subversive at Sitting Pretty, and named to highlight that I'm moving around down here and doing just fine. I started sharing little bits and scraps from my days, the layers of anxiety I carry when I shop at a grocery store, the flash of shame and warmth of intimacy born through the vulnerability of struggling to walk in front of a chosen few, the frustration and reverence I feel at the sight of my scrawny, scabby legs in the morning or soaking in the bathtub. So many stories that felt entirely singular, deeply personal, and painful, wholeheartedly honest. I'm pretty sure my eyes popped out on springs like a cartoon when I realized there were people who wanted to listen. Some said, me too. Others said, I had no idea. Either way, they were invested, and I was amazed. It was in this space that I found so many people with stories I hungered for. I didn't even realize how starved I was until I sat at the feet and listened to the stories of other disabled folks. collecting words I'd never heard, words I didn't know I could have. Their accounts deepened my understanding of my own history and gave me new pictures to reimagine what it can mean to be a disabled woman. I pictured my younger self making up dances in my dress up clothes. What would have happened if these stories had played a part in shaping my early perceptions? What else might I have dreamed for myself? I voiced this angsty sentiment to one of my first and favorite disabled friends in this Instagram space, Erin Clark at Erin Unleashes. And she was quick to remind me that our lives aren't over. We are here now for story expanding, collaborative meaning making, and starting a hashtag cripple punk girl band of 30 somethings. So here I am writing this book because my life isn't over, because the stories of disabled folks are so often distorted to fit someone else's louder story, because I wish I had any stories when I was growing up, like any at all, that represented my actual living experiences, because there's another generation of exquisite people growing up disabled or about to become disabled, and stories are bleep powerful. A few housekeeping details to sort out before we go any further together. One, this book is not a how to guide, as in how to interact with a disabled neighbor. Sorry, not my thing. Two, I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, the representative of all disabled people. That's not a thing. The fact that I have a very visible disability, turns out it's difficult to overlook a wheelchair, and the fact that I was disabled at a very young age changes the way you and I experience this body of mine. Even folks who share these same traits will have their own slant on what it means to them, because the experience of disability is as varied as the experiences of childbirth or breakups. There are at least 7 billion different ways this could go, and even within one person, feelings can contradict or change over time. Disability expands into every possible corner and intersects with every other identity. I would be doing all of us a great disservice if I led you to believe that the conversation starts and ends with bodies and experiences that look just like mine. This book isn't exhaustive. In fact, I hope it sparks more conversations and more listenings to more voices. I am much more comfortable in the position of storytelling and question asker than rule enforcer and final word sayer. So here we are, you and me, and all my sloppy ah. I am terrified, eager, and a little nauseous to invite you so fully into my world, but I think it's worth the risk. So let's go forth. Let's peel back the layers. Look like an unwavering gaze. Ask the impossible questions. Break our hearts. Laugh at it all and open ourselves up for new growth. I think we're ready. So tomorrow I'll start reading chapter 1. What's the problem? I think you'll enjoy this book with me.